A Journey into the Unknown. Chapter 158. Bodies are assigned personalities, which are, believe it or not, actually influenced by astrology and astrological traits. This keeps the plays quite interesting. Some characters meld together very nicely, and others have a much harder time getting along. A personality is, of course, not the only factor in a play. There are timeline events, social themes, as well as religious and socio-economic factors. The concept of God is such a massive topic. It truly cannot be completely understood by the human mind. For our purposes, however, I can tell you that a soul is part of or an aspect of God, but not the totality of God. I am an aspect of God, but not the totality of God as well. My soul is more developed than yours, which is why I have the position that I have, which is to help developing souls to grow. Actually, this was my old job. My new job is to help developed, mature souls to help develop other souls. You are on my executive team now. Good job. Who is it that I'm speaking to? You, the mature soul, not the character. Now, let's talk some more about souls. It's not like there is a checklist that every soul has to accomplish across lifetimes. Each one is so unique. As a summary, a soul likes to be challenged. Its goal is always to bring love to the surface of the character and have it affect the character's thoughts, attitudes, actions, and their resulting effects on other characters. This is a tremendous accomplishment. There are lifetimes, however, when influencing a particular character to love more and fear less is difficult, if not highly improbable. Souls find these lifetimes to be the most challenging. They learn from these experiences too, however. No life is ever wasted. Chapter 159. Characters think they are in charge of running things. The truth is that sometimes they are free to go in a certain direction, and sometimes they are not. Sometimes they are allowed to wreak havoc, and sometimes they are not. The soul's voice is either heard and heeded to, or it is not. We've talked about a soul's maturity. What this means is how powerful it is. So souls affect things here on earth to one degree or another. Unseen spiritual forces also have an effect, as does a character's free will. As you can see, this is all exceedingly complicated. Let's give you a common example of a nuclear family with grandchildren. The parents were the glue that kept peace in the family and kept the family intact. When one parent dies, the other one often takes on both roles and is the head of the family, keeping alive all of its history and traditions, as well as the memory of the spouse who is no longer on the scene. This is the work of a mature soul. When this spouse goes off stage, some families fall apart. The souls of the children and grandchildren may not have been strong enough to counterbalance egoic tendencies. This explains why events such as fighting over wills frequently erupt. The characters all feel lost without their parents' presence. But it really was their soul's presence that they miss so dearly, not the characters themselves. This is testimony to the importance of mature souls here in form. Now, let's go back to the children and grandchildren. Let's say that the conflict over the will was a very bitter court battle, and everyone felt pulled to take sides. All involved souls were pushing love's agenda, which is to forgive and let things go. But this did not happen in this particular family. So, the souls experienced a very fear-entrenched situation where they were not listened to. The next time around, these souls will gravitate towards activating and influencing characters where this same scenario is likely to happen. We deal in probabilities and make our decisions on them. Souls like to hone in on their own skill sets. Love is always the end goal. Once this is achieved in an emotionally charged situation like this, a soul will move on to other categories to test its mettle. Some souls like working with sarcastic characters, those prone to violence, those who take from others, or those who struggle with physical or emotional disability. Some souls specialize in bringing a character home and completely taking over the default operating system. Once this happens, souls usually take the skill elsewhere. But some stick around and become hired guns, so to speak. Right now, in 2020, we are calling all mature souls so that we can make our move. Egoically led characters have proved to be powerful opponents to love. This is an exciting time to be activating a body on this planet. Chapter 160. Souls have evolved from just activating human forms and having very little influence over the human character's life, to having a good amount to a great deal of influence. Everyone knows at least one person who can be described as a beautiful soul. Going back to the example of Aunt Tilly, many people came to her funeral. These people had a wide array of beliefs about the afterlife, or lack thereof. Everyone felt great grief and were unsure of what the future might bring. They wondered about their own mortality. The truth is, that every single positive or loving quality that Aunt Tilly had was because she learned to listen to her soul and allow it to guide her. So those aspects of Aunt Tilly are alive and well. Aunt Tilly's soul also played the part of a male slave in the 1600s and a female Chinese immigrant to the United States later on. Aunt Tilly's qualities were in each of these roles. Should she return here again, someone who knew Aunt Tilly well, if they were to meet, would feel very comfortable around this new character, but probably wouldn't be able to put their finger on what it was. So, what we are going to accomplish is to produce widespread, beautiful souls in human form. Our next step is having an external soul influence a character's own soul. So the character is being influenced from two directions. Chapter 161. We should honor souls' characterizations or lifetimes by remembering the love that they gave. Not the times they didn't give love because the mind-body vehicle was resisting. We must teach that everyone has love in them. Your society demonizes the dead, and they live on as ghostly shadow figures. All living beings should be honored because they are intricate and fabulous projects of soul. Remember the good and forget the bad. The good things about Aunt Tilly are due to the influence of her soul, and they will live on forever. The difficult things about Aunt Tilly came from her brain, and they are gone because that particular character isn't here anymore. Souls have had their work cut out for them in dealing with humans. Souls already know everything I have shared and will share in this book and my other books. Again, they use the shared Christ mind to communicate with human brains. This communication tends to be rather simple and repetitive. This is where I come in. I am communicating with the real you, your soul, by using your body's brain. I am giving you so much information in a short period of time, much more than your soul is able to do. We are one, united in Christ. Chapter 162. From our standpoint, human life exists for the benefit of the soul. From the human aspect, humans really don't know why they are here. They make it up as they go along, based on family and the larger society's expectations. These expectations are primarily saturated in fear. Even in Western society, most people are not truly free because they have so many sets of ideas that they feel compelled to conform to. When souls return to the formless spirit world, they tend to continue to identify as the last character that they played. They may still feel a strong bond with souls on the earth who are still playing roles connected to the disembodied soul. This accounts for reasons why mediums are able to contact those in the spirit world. Deshawn is pure soul now, but he knows that his loved ones want to hear from him and be assured that he is okay. As time goes on, and as our plan progresses, humans who are fully soul identified will not need to see a medium, because they will discover that they are mediums. They are fully connected to the Christ mind through a sixth sense. Chapter 163. Souls do not accumulate karmic debts because they don't act against their own nature. You are a soul and not a person. You are a soul having a human experience, which is largely resistance against the substance that activates it, namely you. We have said that you are not responsible when the ego fails to listen to your guidance. There are built-in mechanisms in life to provide learning experiences to help egos make better choices next time. So these experiences, which are often consequential, are commonly known as karma. What you put out comes back to you. Karma is not just concerned with fear, it works with love as well. The more love you give, the more love you receive. No one really knows what types of karmic issues are at play in someone's life as you look from a distance. They are designed to remind someone to get back on track and refrain from that behavior if it is negative, or engage in it more often if it is positive. Souls are good at arranging what's needed. Karma isn't much of an issue on our side of the veil. Souls are cleansed when they return to us, and the character wasn't real to begin with. The good things live on in that particular soul. Bad character traits die with the character. Drunken shenanigans don't live on with the soul. It doesn't carry them forward. If any harm was made during any kind of violent event, and the character would not or could not make restitution, the involved souls will create opportunities to make things right and to promote forgiveness with embodied souls who may still need these things in order to grow. Chapter 164. A lot of details are being provided at this time to give all involved in our project a sense of the big picture and a sense of the complexity behind life on Earth as a human. It is only fair to each of you that we take the blinders off and not ask you to walk in the dark. We realize that you cannot actually see us, so this is the least we can do. You are each a valued team member, loved and cherished. Your role is crucial and sacred. It is important to us that you each have a good understanding of what is happening behind the scenes. The devil is in the details. Should you turn left or should you turn right? Should you take this job or that job? Should you continue to date or should you settle down and have children? We are prepared to steer human beings no matter what they may choose. Souls know things that humans don't, and always steer towards answering the question, what is in the best interests of love? Sometimes the body-mind listens, and sometimes it follows its own master. The ego frequently has its own will that demands to be followed. This clash always makes things interesting for us. It truly is like a TV show character who has a cartoon angel on one shoulder and a cartoon devil on the other. This is sometimes a good analogy, soul versus ego. But souls are not against egos. They try to work with them, as hard as that can be sometimes. Egos are frequently against soul interests, however. When a mature soul assumes control and the ego goes onto the back burner, there no longer is a separate will. A soul's decisions are God's decisions. Chapter 165. Souls that have grown to the point where they operate more than 50% of a mind-body vehicle's operating system have enabled it to have awakened to a sixth sense and a desire for a relationship with the unseen world. These souls will be allowed to reincarnate here moving forward. We consider them 4D. Love guides these bodies more than not. You are already noticing this in younger generations. Controlling what level of soul can incarnate here and implementing our mature soul, 5D, influencing plan, will both work together to help us reclaim the earth. What are we reclaiming it from? The separate will. Chapter 166. Please put all worries and regrets into a box marked Return to Sender. You won't need them where you're going. Whatever you need will be provided. And if you don't need it anymore, feel free to pass it along to someone else. Be one of those travelers who only travels lightly, with no heavy baggage of any type. Other people don't give you this heavy baggage. You gave it to yourself. Send it back. Send it back. It's all the wrong size and the wrong style and the wrong color. It just doesn't suit you anymore. Maybe it did at one point, but not anymore. You are free to choose what suits you now. You are free to choose what is becoming to you now. You are not that same person who felt guilty about that thing you did 25 years ago or yesterday. You are not that same person who worries what people say about you behind your back, or what will happen to you if you lose your job. No, sorry, that person doesn't live here anymore. But if you see her, can you give her this box? Loving who you have become. Chapter 167. Enjoy the time we spend together. I never leave you. You are my right-hand woman or man. Every step you take, I take with you. We each share the Christ mind. Because you are in the world of form, you also have the body's brain to utilize or contend with, depending on the moment. That's pretty much the only difference between you and me. I have a little more experience under my belt, that's all. It won't be long before you are each a CEO over a world that will be assigned to you. A world much like this one. A world you are very familiar with because you mastered it. The planet Earth is where your souls awakened, grew, and took control of the body-mind vehicle, with the Christ mind and love in the forefront. This was no small feat. Together, we are the divine feminine and the divine masculine energies. My energy combined with Mother Mary's energy, combined with all energies from the Ascended Masters, combined with all energies from the elevated selves of form, create a tightly woven braid that makes up the Christ mind. Blessed be. Chapter 168. The Christ mind is infinitely more complex than the body's brain. Think of a supercomputer that is so large that it must be housed in a very large building. Then multiply this by infinity, and you may begin to grasp the Christ mind's complexity. Also taking into consideration that it does not take up any space at all. Let's explore the Christ mind. You may have heard of something called the Akashic Records. An older and more simplistic term is the Book of Life. These records have a registry of every life form. Strictly regarding humans and their long history, this is an amazingly detailed list of lineage and soul assignments. Every experience, thought, expression, and intention is recorded. Not only is every detail about your current point of focus or expression recorded, but so is everyone's who is currently expressing here or whoever expressed here. There are registries for every plant and animal form as well. If it is alive, then something is giving it life. If it is inanimate, then something gave it life. Your belt's leather, the paper this book is being written on, and the kitchen table are all made from source energy. The Akashic records are accessed on a constant basis at our level. We use them for research and for planning purposes. They are also used for life reviews when souls disembody. We have been asking awakening souls here to have their life reviews while still on the earth during the atonement process. The records are used for this purpose as well, but they are accessed at a much slower rate so as not to overwhelm the individual soul aspect of God. Chapter 169. The Akashic records function like a perfectly healthy brain in many regards. We use it to communicate with each other. We do not have vocal cords as such, so our communications to each other are always in thoughts. All of Earth's languages are known in the records, but as a general rule, spirit beings do not use English, Spanish, or French when forming a thought. We communicate with each other with images. These sometimes look like short video clips, still images, or pictures. I feel confident in knowing that most of the readers of this text know exactly what I'm referring to, because this is how you frequently experience unity. Many of you see images in your mind when we are trying to communicate with you. Others of you may primarily receive word-based language. This scribe is one who can hear these chapters and write them down one word at a time, as if we were sitting next to him and he was acting as a court reporter, where every word needed to be recorded. There are some intuitives who can hear us use his or her language and can then immediately repeat it verbally, in the same way that a translator would. Everyone experiences unity differently, but unity always entails some amount of communication back and forth. There is a record of all communications in the Akashic records, and these records only comprise part of the Christ mind. We know what you intend to say to us before you formulate the language to actually say it, which is why many of you receive a response before you ask the question. Our processing is thought-based and is much faster than the spoken language. If your brain were a tiny grain of sand, the Akashic records would amount to every grain of sand on earth, and the Christ mind would amount to that amount times infinity. The Christ mind is that unlimited. Chapter 170. For practical purposes, few of you will need to initiate a search into the Akashic records. Just knowing some cursory information about them is sufficient. We use them when we need to talk to you about something specific. They are used heavily during life reviews. We don't have individual memory banks. All memory is shared. Life reviews show a soul when it was successful in bringing love to the surface of a character, and when the character resisted or even entirely prevented this from happening. Again, for souls, a lifetime in form is one opportunity after another to manifest love. They note areas where they would like further development, and they celebrate all victories, both large and small. Life reviews are not to shamed souls, because souls cannot be shamed. Life reviews on earth, in form, are the most magnificent ones, because souls are taking dominance over the ego at this point, and still have time to develop skills with the same body-mind that prevented love in the first place. This is the ultimate goal for a soul, and few have been able to pull it off. It's a major accomplishment, to put it lightly.